who are the leaders of this group? I'll give you a second to think about who are the leaders. There's a clue in the question. Who are the leaders of the Learning Power Pioneer community? Oh, and there are several answers, not just one. So have a little think. Okay, so I'm hoping that nobody said me. I am not the leader of this group. I'm not even the catalyst of this group. If you remember, and you think back to the first video, we talked about how my friend Pat was leaping through Powering Up Children and decided to plot how to get better at it through the year, and that's what gave me the idea. So Pat's the catalyst, #BlamePat. She's the one who started all of this. So I'm not even the catalyst, and I'm definitely not the leader. I'm hoping lots of you said that we are the leaders. All of us are the leaders of this group. We are co-creating this experience and this learning, which is why it's the best CPD of the year, because we can make it exactly what we want to make it. And there's already been loads of fantastic examples of that, of people putting their ideas out there on Twitter, and other Learning Power pioneers feeding in and giving feedback and saying, how about you try this? Here's an idea for that. Have you thought about this way? So there's already been lots of co-leadership and co-creation within the group. So one answer could possibly be that we are all the leaders within this group. But it's not just us, it's the children too. They are the leaders of their learning. So how are you involving the children in this learning process? Have you spoken to them about what they would like to do with their learning environment? I know Carly has in our Patterner team, because she's tweeted about it and she's already talking about what an impact that's had on the children. In fact, I saw her this morning and she said, why haven't I done this before? Why did I only just think to do this? And that's what people often find when they start trying out ideas, and I do as well. I'll try something out and think, why didn't I think about that before? Because I'll see the impact it has on the children and their learning. So are the children in the driving seat of their learning? And how are you managing that? And have you even possibly shared that you're learning to become a better teacher within this group, and that at the moment we're looking at how to make our learning environment as impactful as possible because you care about the children and you care about their learning, and have they got any ideas to put into that? They will respect you for being a leader and for modelling learning and getting better at your craft. It might bamboozle some of them, but it's a really great thing to do to model yourself as a learner. So, by the way, I've got notes down here again, so if I look down, it's just because I'm just checking my notes to check where we are. So leaders, I have a couple of challenges for you if you are game. So remember, we talked about the qualities of a Learning Power pioneer. Number one, being a positive wizard, lifting people up and supporting people and always seeing the best in situations. Being generous, sharing ideas, sharing your time. Being a what-if thinker, not a yeah-but thinker. I'll come back to that later because it was a really good example of that in some learning over the last couple of weeks. And being a reflective practitioner, so reflecting on your own practice, being really honest about things that maybe aren't working, and being brave enough to make changes to make those better. There's a fifth one that I didn't think about before that I think we should add, and that's being a risk taker. Are you pushing yourself to try out new things in the classroom and being brave to make adjustments that you know will support your learners? And being a risk taker doesn't mean like dropping everything and doing something completely mad that's never going to work. It's about taking a calculated risk that you may not know exactly how it's going to work out, but you know that that could possibly have a really positive impact on the depth of the learning in your classroom. So on that note of being a risk taker, I have 4 challenges, and you get to choose which one you'd like to do. And maybe you might want to even do all of them, but see what they are to start with. So they're kind of on levels. So level 1, actually there's a level 0. Level 0 is get on Twitter. There are some people in our team who haven't quite managed to get onto Twitter yet. So level 0, get onto Twitter. You don't have to be on Twitter to join in with this, but you will get much, much more out of it if you're following the hashtag Learning Power Pioneers, because there's ideas coming on every single day about new ideas to tweak your practice in relation to learning power. So it's a good thing to do. Level 1. This is a seeking level. So I'm going to put Jazz Amporfar's video on seeking, serving, surviving. There's 4 different things. I'm going to put that on the link underneath so you can watch it. But she talks about being in seeking mode. When you're in seeking mode, you're kind of in learning. You're looking, what else is out there? What's out there? What can I do? What can I learn? So if you're in seeking mode, you might be reading Powering Up Children, you might be following the hashtag, and you might be gathering some interest about how you might like to use this in your practice. Or, a bit more of a challenge on seeking mode, if you've read Powering Up Children, you could pick another book that's related to Powering Up Children. I'm going to publish a blog on a reading list this weekend, but one example is someone in our team is reading some of the Challenge Learning James Nottingham books to think about how to use the learning pit in their classroom. So you might want to pick up some further reading so you can start to think about how to incorporate that into your practice. There's a little warning with this one though. It's okay to be a seeker and it's great to be reading, but it means nothing if it's not followed up by an action. So at some point you need to plan how you're going to use those ideas in your practice. So it's okay for now if you kind of feel like you want to investigate and find out, that's great, but there has to be a point at which you're thinking, how is this going to manifest itself in the classroom? So that's level 1. And oh yeah, a few more things on level 1. You could go into the Learning Power Pioneers hashtag. You can like a few ideas and just comment and say, great idea, maybe I'll try this later, thank you for sharing, and kind of therefore be a positive wizard and lift people up. So that's level 1. Level 2, you're going to model being a generous leader and being generous with your ideas. So put something that you are doing on Twitter. This will be something you're already quite sure about. So something in your practice that you know is learning powered in relation to the learning environment or making the class a safe and interesting place to be a learner. Put something out on Twitter to show the amazing things you're doing. So there is an example, Joe Bassington put out a tweet with his pictures from his classroom environment. There were things he felt safe with. So things that he had done last year that he knows will work next year. But what's absolutely brilliant about that is that other people can dip in and use those ideas. So thank you, Joe, because we used that in our meeting. It was the very first thing we looked at. And we looked through Joe's photos and we said, yeah, great, we use learning partners, collaborative learning partners. We change those every week. That works really well because it deepens our collaboration skills and creates a cohesive classroom. And then we looked through and we looked at your balance wheel. And this was the awesome discussion that came from that. So some of our teachers said, would really love to use that. That would really develop reflection within my classroom. But not yet. There's some other things we want to put in place before that. And this is how to be a what-if teacher. Because this teacher said, the only problem is, in my classroom I have to have certain things up on my wall. And I'm not sure there's space for a balance wheel. But she didn't cut the conversation there. A yeah, but teacher would say, right, that's the end of that. I can't do it. There's not enough space on the wall. She asked, how can I use it then? How can I incorporate that into my classroom? And the most brilliant idea came from that. I can't remember who said it, so whoever said it has to own up to it because it's brilliant. They said, why do you have to use the walls? Why don't you use the floor? So we talked about putting a balance wheel onto the floor in the carpet space so the children could sit around in a big circle around the balance wheel and they could think about what level they thought they were on the learning, have all of that rich discussion about how to get to the next level, why they think they're there. They could even have little figures or little photos of themselves and put themselves in each of the segments on the carpet of where they thought they belonged. That's amazing! And that came from Joe being generous and sharing his ideas. So, level 2, share something that you are doing on Twitter. Be brave. Right, level 3 is post something on Twitter, but not something you're confident with, something that you haven't worked out how to do yet, something you're grappling over, something that's not quite working. So Carly did that with a kind of video shot of her classroom and said, I'm just starting on my learning power journey. What do you think I could do? And these brilliant ideas came in about involving the students and getting them to do an audit, which Carly has tried, and she says it's working brilliantly and the children are feeling so empowered by being involved in the kind of ownership and that kind of discussion and thinking about what's helping their learning on the walls. So Carly was being an amazing risk taker because she was showing what she didn't quite have in place yet, something she wasn't quite sure about. She was showing her vulnerability. So thank you, Carly. That's amazing. So, level 1, do some more reading, do some more research, but be aware that at some point you're going to need to action that and bring that into the classroom. Level 2, share your ideas, be generous, put something out there that you're doing that's working really well in your classroom. And level 3, put something out there that you're not sure about yet. And if you want to, you can do all 3 levels. I am going to aim to be a kind of leader in that sense of making sure that I'm reading, making sure that I'm sharing any ideas that are coming up in our team, and making sure that if there's anything I'm stuck on, that I'm posting that so that you guys can help me. So that is our little video on leadership, and now you have 3 little challenges to get on with. Have fun. Bye.